Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different, but honestly, highly revealing. We are taking a globally recognized, incredibly repetitive piece of text, and we're going to treat it as a serious work of literature to uncover its hidden dramatic arc. Prepare to see a familiar phenomenon in a completely new light.
We all instantly recognize this iconic opening line. I mean, the second you hear those words, you're probably already hearing that upbeat music playing in your head, right? It's catchy, it's literally everywhere, and on the surface, it seems incredibly simple. But is it actually?
So, let's really dive into this mystery. If we just strip away that catchy melody and look purely at the source text, what's the actual narrative hidden within these famous lyrics? Well, we're going to deconstruct the exact chronological story contained inside these super repetitive verses. And I gotta promise you, the structural integrity of this tale, it's absolutely going to surprise you.
Part 1. The Exposition and Family Hierarchy. You know, every good story requires world building. You can't just jump right into the action. You've got to establish exactly who you're dealing with and what the stakes are. And the author here brilliantly builds this cast chronologically. The narrative moves sequentially, starting with the youngest generation, the baby, and then expanding outward to the parents, and eventually making its way all the way up to the elders. It's this very deliberate zooming out of the whole family tree.
This clearly maps out the formal, rhythmic structure used to establish the family hierarchy before any real action even occurs. We've got the youth, the parents, and the elders. The source text actually gives equal weight to each generation. It's kind of a masterclass in establishing a setting and a cast of characters through pure, unadulterated repetition.
But we have to pause for a second and really consider this rhythmic motif. These syllables, they act as the constant heartbeat, anchoring every single line of the exposition. It provides this hypnotic, driving rhythm that keeps the audience fully engaged, even while the plot itself remains, well, entirely static. It lulls the listener right into a false sense of security.
Exactly 5 family members are introduced in this very methodical, looping fashion. The text literally forces us to wait through 5 distinct verses, 5 character introductions, before it finally allows the plot to move forward. This builds a massive subconscious anticipation. We have our cast of 5 completely assembled, so now what are they going to do?
Which brings us to part 2, the call to play.
This is the absolute crucial moment where that rigid pattern shatters. Let's go play. In literary terms, this simple phrase acts as the narrative's inciting incident, pulling our completely assembled cast out of their static introductions and thrusting them right into active participation. The looping exposition is over. A specific action has finally been proposed.
Moving right into part 3, the sudden climax.
However, the leisure implied by a playful romp is shockingly short-lived. Just consider this severe, whiplash-inducing tonal shift. We go from the totally innocent invitation to "let's go play" immediately into the desperate command to run away. There's no bridging text. There's no explanation of what went wrong during playtime. Just an immediate, panicked imperative to flee.
The rising action here is incredibly compressed. First, the command to run away. Then, literally right on its heels, a sudden antagonistic force, the hungry sharks, is introduced out of nowhere. This revelation immediately skyrockets the stakes of our previously gentle narrative. We now know exactly why they're running. The environment has become instantly hostile.
And that drops us into part 4, the ambiguous resolution.
The text now accelerates at breakneck speed toward a very dark, definitive conclusion. The playful nursery rhyme structure? Yeah, that's now merely a vehicle for a high-stakes survival scenario. This sequence perfectly maps the frantic action of the climax. We move from an attempted escape to the direct threat itself and directly into an ominous feeding, which culminates in a sudden end. The pacing here is absolutely relentless.
But notice the exact phrasing here. Feed the sharks. The action is presented entirely factually, but what is glaringly missing? A subject. The text leaves a brilliant, lingering ambiguity about who exactly is performing the feeding, or maybe more concerningly, who is being fed. Did our family of 5 find food for the hungry sharks to appease them, or did the hungry sharks make a meal out of our protagonists?
Well, we just don't get the answer. It's the end. The text literally shuts down the story with cold, hard finality. There is no falling action, there's absolutely no comfort for the reader, and definitely no epilogue explaining who actually survived. The source material just immediately returns to the upbeat music without giving us a single ounce of further explanation of the tragedy or triumph that just occurred.
It is a masterclass in leaving the audience in total suspense. So I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on. In this sudden, highly ambiguous resolution, who exactly got fed to the hungry sharks? It just goes to show how brilliant structural pacing can make even the simplest stories stick in our heads forever. The reason phenomena like this go viral isn't just because of a catchy tune, but because they intuitively tap into our deep-seated psychological engagement with tension, suspense, and unresolved conflict. Think about that narrative cliffhanger the next time you hear this seemingly innocent song echoing through a room. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.